Hey everybody, welcome back to my kitchen. Today, I'm really excited to share with you a super simple and foolproof way for the ultimate bechamel. And it only involves a few ingredients, no nonsense, no bullshit, nothing to that at all. Just straight, creamy, silky, and authentic Greek bechamel. So to start us off, I'll go through a list of the ingredients, and it's really simple. There's nothing to this at all. We're gonna have 6 cups of milk that is basically a little warmer than room temperature, not right out of the fridge. Half a cup of all-purpose flour, 2 egg yolks for that extra creaminess, and about a stick of butter. That is the magic combination or the formula that any way you do this, you will not screw this up, guaranteed. So to get us started, first things first, we're gonna heat up our pan. For today, I'm using a non-stick. I know it's a non-stick, but for our purposes here, I'm using a non-stick saucepan. Use anything that you have on hand. You can use stainless steel, which I prefer anyway. So to start us off, really simply, really easy, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our half stick of butter, and that's gonna go into our pan. Nothing to this at all. The trick that I'm using now to help with the creaminess and that silky consistency that I'm looking for is a whisk. A lot of people will use a wooden spoon or will use spatulas and things like that. This is the trick. There is nothing worse, believe me when I tell you, than getting lumpy bechamel. And even worse is when you have this beautiful moussaka or this pastitsio that you're making, and you take a bite and there's this like little explosion of flour in your mouth. That's just gross. So here goes our bechamel start, if you will. Our butter is well on its way to softening or melting. All right, so now that our butter is melting and it's kind of coming to do what we want it to, we're gonna take half a cup of our flour and just add it in there and slowly start mixing that up. Now, if you notice, I'm using a metal utensil on a non-stick pan. The reason for this, not that it's anything complicated or anything tricky, you're just using the whisk to just stir around and keep your roux going. And the roux is basically the technical or funky term for the flour and the melted butter. So you want to do this for about a minute and a half, just to get that floury kind of pasty taste out. And then what you do is, from here, slowly start adding your milk. And remember, our milk is at a little bit more than room temperature. And that's a secret that they told me from Greece. So slowly start adding this in, little by little. And as you add your milk, you'll see it almost immediately start to coagulate. And that's what you want. You want this roux to start actually thickening up. And keep adding and keep going without making a mess like I'm doing. And the trick to this as well is never let your bechamel sit for too long. As our bechamel is tightening up, we add the rest of our milk and keep stirring as you're going through this. Also, if you're like me and you like the general flavor of bechamel and you think it's luxurious and creamy, I'll tell you a little trick to making like a bechamel sauce for pasta or over other dishes as well that's not as thick or as tight as this bechamel, is cut your flour in half. So in this case, we're using 1 stick of butter and half a cup of flour. In the sauce for pasta, you can use a 1/4 cup of flour. It'll give you the same flavor exactly, just a looser consistency, a more almost like an Alfredo kind of consistency. And that's kind of key when you want to make it just to serve up with a little bit of pasta as a quick dish. The next part I'm going to share with you is a closely guarded secret of the indigenous mountain people of Greece that was shared to me over a sacred ritual not that long ago. Actually, I'm kidding. There's no indigenous people in Greece. Anyway, it's my own like crap. don't worry about it. I will share with you something that very few people here know about, and it was actually passed on to me by, again, a neighbor of mine in Greece to give it that amped up kind of that Greek kind of flavor, and that's extra virgin olive oil. And what you do is at this stage of the game, as your bechamel is just starting to tighten up, you're gonna add about 2 or 3, maybe 4 tablespoons of Greek extra virgin olive oil, or the best quality extra virgin olive oil you can find, which is Greek, but anyway. And this will give you that kind of small town Greek village flavor that when you go to somebody's house and there's some little old lady dressed in black that's cooking for you, this is the flavor. Oh yeah. This is it. This is exactly it. This is what I remember from all these dishes that I've enjoyed in Greece, from people's private kitchens that have been making this forever. So now, like most things, we also want to add a little seasoning. That almost got away from me. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to this. Not big on salt, just enough to bring the flavors out. A little bit of fresh cracked black pepper. Always good. And that's perfect just like that. I love this, the flavor and the taste of freshly ground black pepper. Just brings up the dish to just deliciousness. All right, so my bechamel is tightening up nicely now. It's getting that consistency that I'm looking for slowly. At this stage of the game, we're gonna add a little bit of luxury to our dish. And with this, I mean 2 egg yolks. I'm just gonna beat real quick 2 egg yolks, just with my whisk, nothing complicated at all. And you're gonna add them in. When it's about 2/3 of the way done, that's how you want your bechamel basically to incorporate in here. You don't wanna make scrambled eggs, but you wanna add that luxuriousness. Also, when you get to this stage of the cooking process, don't stop stirring it at all. It's a little elbow grease, but it's gonna be so worth it. You don't want it at this point to actually start sticking on you or catching on you from the bottom. So that's why it's important to keep it moving. All right, as this is going now, I'm just gonna take that other little ingredient, nutmeg. And you're gonna use literally, not much, about 1/4 of a nutmeg pod. And just grate it over your bechamel just like that. Real quick, not too much, 1/4, maybe 1/8 tops. And again, stir this around. The aroma of that is magnificent. We're here, we're just about here. All right, at this point our bechamel is just about done. I'm going to turn off my heat and kind of bring that down slowly and gradually. It's got the perfect consistency. It may seem like it's a little bit runny right now, but don't worry about that, because when this goes over your moussaka or your pastitsio, it'll actually tighten up in the baking process. And now, thanks to the magic of television and actually video editing, I've got a moussaka, a naked moussaka right now, waiting to get all dressed and baked off. So, I've preheated my oven to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius. My bechamel is perfect. This will tighten up as it gets through the baking process, because I'm going to bake this off for about 35 to 45 minutes. And let me show you how this all kind of goes in. There you go. This is fantastic. There's a little extra left there, but there's never really any extra when it comes to bechamel. Now, this bechamel will actually go into our oven, bake off, and you're ready to go. So my dear friends, this is today's little video on how to make the ultimate bechamel. Stick of butter, 1/2 cup of flour, 2 egg yolks, 6 cups of milk, and 1/8 to 1/4 of a nutmeg grated. That's it. Oh, and our little secret, 3 tablespoons of Greek extra virgin olive oil, into the mix for that little bit of that kiss of flavor. Unbelievable. So I hope you try this for yourself. It's so easy and so delicious. And remember a little trick, cut the flour in half for a nice bechamel, kind of a creamier sauce for pastas, and you have another option for dinner as well. So like this, please, I hope you do. Share this. Follow me on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Try this, share your pictures, and let me know how it turns out for you. So until next time, I'm Ken, aka The Lazy Gourmet. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.